booking your first co-star credit, right? So there's a lot of ways to do it. There's a couple of ways to do it, I think. One is to maybe if you have an agent, he's going to get you in the room, or you can build your relationship with the casting director, and then they're going to call you in. And I think your experience is very unique. What was your first co-star credit?
My first co-star credit was Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Okay, and that was your first co-star audition as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. First co-star
you booked
audition
the first
also.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But after several years of no auditions at all,
Yeah.
or auditions for student films and indie films and things that were kind of a smaller scale.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now, did you have an agent?
No, I didn't have an agent or manager.
Okay. So you booked it through your relationship with the casting director, probably, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think a lot of actors are going to find it really hard to be like, hey, how do I build that relationship? Where do I start? So you can talk about how did you do it?
Yeah. So I think that building relationships with casting directors and with people in the industry, I think that's really important, because there are just so many actors out there, and it's just hard otherwise to consistently stay top of people's minds, especially if you want them to keep you in mind for projects. So I first met this casting director who was an associate at the office in, I think, November. And so I took a class with her and loved her. I thought that I learned so much. I had so many great takeaways. So I emailed a thank you, and then kept in touch each month. I would send an email with my career updates. And I also think it's important to not just kind of toot my own horn, but also to recognize her and their office for the work that they were doing too. So anytime that they were nominated for an award or had a show come out, I would also send an email congratulating them as well. And then December went by, January, February, March, and again, just plugging away with the emails. And something that I did with one of the emails that I think I sent at the start of the new year, because I had just worked on, my goals as an actor for the year. I decided that Kimmy Schmidt was going to be my dream show. I kept telling people when I was describing like my brand as an actor, I'd be like, I'm like a real life Kimmy Schmidt, And so I knew that I could fit that wacky world of the show. So in an email to her, I told her, I want to let you know that this is my goal show for the year. And here's why. And if I can ever be of service in helping to tell the story, if there's ever a role that I might fit, please know that I would love to be a part of it. And then sent more emails, each month. And then in March, I sent an email with just updates, I think. And then 2 days later, I got a C-mail request for the audition.
Ooh, nice. What a story. I mean, that's why, I wanted to have the conversation with you, because I see a lot of similarities between you and I, because I see it, because you got to be a smart actor, right? You got to have that street hustle. You got to have that extra, not just a talented actor. And I think you got to find ways to connect with casting directors on social media. And I see you doing it. I see you. And I'm doing it as well, because I'm doing it as well. That's why I see you when I'm doing it myself. I'm like, wait a minute. What is she doing here? Why is she liking this casting director's post? Why is she commenting? But that's being smart. That's exactly why I'm there. And I see it. And I always known you, like you've been really invested and you know your type. And I'm sure having your marketing materials, right, like on point, because I think you're great for that show. It's a great comedic show. And then I feel like you're perfect for that show. And I'm sure that's one of the reasons you targeted that show, right? Probably.
Well, thank you. And same to you. I feel like there's nothing more exciting than when you go to comment on a casting director's like Instagram post and you see like the last 5 people who commented are all your friends who are in the industry as well. I think for me, in New York, in particular, there are a lot of shows that are kind of edgy and raw, a little bit darker. And I know that that's not necessarily where I immediately fit in. So I was focusing more on the comedies that were there, and there just aren't as many comedies that shoot in New York as that shoot in LA. And I love Ellie Kemper. I'd followed her career, and I thought that my marketing and branding was not identical, but similar enough where I could live in those same types of worlds that the characters that she plays live in.
Okay. Now the audition comes in, the email comes in. Do you how many lines or how many pages or how many scenes was it?
I was shocked when this email came in because, again, I had never had an audition for a streaming service or network show, and it was for one line, but there was a note that said, this character has one line, but it might be written out of the script for shooting. So it was a co-star with maybe one line. So the one line was in there for audition purposes, but they said it might not be there.
Okay.
But there was it was a short scene, and it involved, a couple different eye lines with different characters. And it was definitely more about, how the physicality of the character in the space, and less so about the words. The line was just 2 words. It was, "You're disgusting," was the line.
I've seen it actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, that was cool. And it was so interesting because I feel like when you go to school and when you train and when you, take workshops, you're doing series regular sides. You're doing, pages and pages of dialogue. And I was like, okay, this is a really interesting challenge to take something that's 2 lines and figure, like, there are a million ways you could say 2 words. So I coached it because I wanted to make sure that what I was thinking made sense, that it fit the world of the show, because the show is, it's grounded, but it's grounded in a heightened reality, like the character was stuck in a bunker and her roommate, sings songs everywhere. And it's not like the same as a Law and Order type of world. So I wanted to make sure that my physicality and my choices read and matched that. And I didn't know how to do that on my own. Yeah.
Okay, that's very smart. You got help, even though it's 2 words. So no, but it's true, like you said, and also you want to make a good impression as well, because if you mess up, because I've actually done it one time and I completely messed up the line, and I haven't been called into that office. It was 1 line, and
oh no, I'm sure that's not why you haven't been called in again, though, because that happens so many times.
Yeah, but I mean, that was my big lesson. I'm like, I'm not gonna joke around, because I joked around with the line for fun right before I got into the room. For what? And then I just said the same thing, and then it was just anyway. But that's a lesson learned, and then okay, great. So you prepped, and then so audition day. Let's talk about audition day. How are you feeling on the day of audition?
I was nervous, but so excited. I feel like I was just having an audition for, anything that was streaming or network was so exciting for me, because like that in itself felt like such a win to like get called into an office for the first time. That I was really already on cloud 9, like a nervous cloud 9, but I was so happy to be there and to have that opportunity. And it meant so much that that associate casting director would give me a chance to come in and do something. So I feel like I was incredibly excited, really, really overwhelmingly grateful, and then also nervous.
Yeah. And so you get into the room, you get into the office, sorry, and then you, were there a lot of people, like, auditioning for the same role?
No.
Paint us a picture.
Yeah, so I went into the office. There are a couple chairs. I think there was maybe 1 person in the room, and then 1 person next to me waiting to go in, and then I was there. And then in the room, it was just that casting director that I already met. So that was
Okay.
great because there
Nice.
was that level of, you know, comfort and
Yeah.
having met that person before. So that was comforting for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you guys like? Did she say, "Hey, nice to have you"? Did you guys chat a little bit before you did your take? How was that? What happened there in the room?
Yeah, I think we exchanged pleasantries. You know,
Yeah.
the time I was in the room again for it was two words, and I did it once, and then I think she talked to me a little bit more about some specifics about like if I remember correctly, it was something like there was a Kimmy eyeline, and then there was the eyeline for the guest actor that my scene was with. And I was looking at one first and then the other, and I think the note was start off by looking at this person and then this person catches your eye, or something like that. So I
Okay.
did it again with the adjustment. And that was it. You know, it was a thank you so much and thank you. And really I can't even imagine I was in the room for 60 seconds. It was
Yeah.
really quick.
Yeah. These things go by quick, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're hyped up, you're thinking about it, and then it just gets over, and then like that's it. Because you don't get.
Yep.
Did you get feedback? Did you get feedback at all, like or anything?
Uh,
After you did?
no, because I didn't have any reps to like ask for anything like that.
Okay.
So it was just a, you know, that was great. That's all we need.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
But again, I of course wanted to book it, but it was really like the win of actually having an audition that
Yeah.
that was like all I could focus on. It was like I did it. That was so
Yeah.
fun. It was
Yeah.
so fast and hooray.
That's the attitude. That's the goal, right?
Mhm.
Enjoy it. Have fun performing. Did you feel like you had it?
I
Like
had no
after you?
idea.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, it was two words, and it really could have gone to anyone, you know, depending on what they were looking for. And you know, everyone who went in before me, a range of you know, tall women, shorter women, blondes, brunettes, redheads, you know, bangs, no bangs. It was such a mix that for me with those you know, one line co-stars, I don't know
Yeah. Yeah.
how
You never
to
know.
predict something like that.
Okay. Okay. Now, fast forward, you get the call that you booked it. Do you remember that day where you were? What were you doing?
Yes, I was so surprised because the audition was on a Monday and the shoot dates were potentially Wednesday through Friday of that same week.
Mhm.
And so it was already Wednesday. So I assumed that I hadn't booked it because I figured if I had booked it, I would have
Yeah.
heard before Wednesday, one of the potential shoot dates. So I was cat sitting at someone else's house in the village in New York, in the West Village.
Love it.
And I checked my email, and there was an email with the subject line Kimmy Schmidt, and I was like, oh, interesting. I wonder what that is. And I opened it, and it was an availability check. So it said, you know, you're one of the top choices for this role. I'm writing to check to see if you're available for Friday's shoot date. So I wrote back within like 10 minutes, like
Yeah.
trying to be casual, like, yes, I'm still available. Thank you so much, Rebecca. And then within, I think, and then I stayed at the cat house because I was playing with them and spending time with them. So I did like a little happy dance and then went back to playing with cats. And then it was like 2 hours later, I got a reply to that email that said, you know, you booked it. And I was on the phone with a friend at the time, and I remember being like, holy cow, I gotta call you back. I just booked a part. It was really, really exciting. And it happened so quickly from the point of like checking my availability to saying, you know, you booked it. I wasn't expecting to hear back within a couple hours that day.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool. And then I had to respond because I had to send like paperwork in and give information because I didn't have reps to do that. So I kind of handled that aspect of it and signed off on, you know, the deal and everything. And then that was actually a night where we were doing one of those best of short film festivals.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So
Okay.
I went straight from the cat house. You know, I called my mom, and then I went straight there and kind of like whispered it to a couple people, and it was a really exciting night because I got to like be with friends and do something related to acting to celebrate.
Oh man, that's so much. That's a good story. Wow. Uh, but what you said about quick turnarounds, it's so true. These shows, they move so fast. They want to cast people, and that's why, having a stable, like having a flexible job is very crucial, and being ready every time, like any time to go in for the audition and being ready for, fittings. I mean, did you have fittings, by the way?
No, my fitting was actually my
On
call
set.
time
Okay.
was my call time was earlier, and we were shooting at a hotel somewhere north of New York City, and so when we got to the hotel parking lot, they had a trailer for wardrobe, and that was
Okay.
the first place I was sent. So I did it that day.
Okay, good. Yeah, some people have a separate day for fitting. Like that's what I had. It was like a week before I had fitting, and then they paid me for fitting. So I didn't know they pay you for fitting. I was like, okay, But again, time is money. Time is money. So
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I feel like as so many of us, it's just a dream to be able to like be on a set for the day.
yeah,
That yeah, I wasn't sure. I ended up getting paid as well
yeah, probably, yeah,
for the fitting, but I didn't think that would happen because it was the same day
same
as
day,
being
yeah,
on set. So
yeah,
that was cool. That was a nice surprise.
yeah, yeah. Okay, now let's talk about the shoot date, right? You get on set. Did you have a trailer, mini trailer, or?
So the way that, because we were at a hotel, we were shooting
Okay,
like in a conference room and in a like one of their ballroom types of areas. So all of the principals had their own hotel room as
ah,
their trailer,
okay,
and we had our little name on the door of a
oh,
hotel room.
okay, nice. That's interesting. That's different.
Yeah,
Cool.
well, I didn't know what to do with myself. It was a it was a waiting game, and I had no idea. I felt like I wanted to be, again,
Yep.
being my first time on set, I was like, I got to stay alert and ready. And the second they call me, I'm going to be ready to go to set, because you just don't know when you get when you have the call sheet for the day, you don't know how long it's going to take them to get through like a
Yeah.
page and a quarter of dialogue.
Mhm.
So I remember there's a bed in the hotel room, and there was, a chair and a desk and a TV. I did not turn on the TV once. I forgot that TVs existed. I didn't sit on the bed because I was like, I don't want a PA to come into the room and see me like lounging in bed when I should be professional. So I kid you not, I spent like 5 hours just sitting at a desk, like just waiting.
Oh my gosh, hilarious. You're excited. I get it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you want to be professional, and who knows? Yeah, all that.
But now I know. Now I know that, you can
Yeah.
relax when you're waiting to
Yeah.
go to set.
Yeah. Okay. And how was it working with other actors, the director of the show, the writers?
It was it was a dream show to work on from the start of the day to the end of the day. Everyone was so kind. I met Ellie Kemper, who again I absolutely adore, in the makeup trailer, and and she just kind of like spun her chair around and turned over to me and was like, "Hi, I'm Ellie. What's your name?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And immediately was just so open and friendly and cracking jokes. My role in it, I was playing, I think the breakdown was an attractive woman who works in tech or something like that. And so
Yeah.
my part of my role was that I kissed multiple men who worked in tech
Okay.
in the course of like, a 1 minute scene.
Yeah.
Because it was a wacky comedy, and so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember her cracking a joke with me about my role on set today, and she was really great at making everyone feel comfortable and talking about like random things like the temperature of hotel rooms and why are they always cold, and just things that put you at ease and allowed you to connect us as real humans.
Yeah.
Most of my interaction was with the guest star for the episode, Drew Galing, who is a Broadway star. He was in the original Broadway cast of Waitress and a bunch of other things. And he was also just such a kind human who immediately got to know me and was so polite and so respectful, which I feel like was wonderful for someone who is new to shooting any sort of like on-camera kiss moment, as you show up and you're a stranger on set. And so it was just, everyone was really kind. The makeup artist who was assigned to me was also so wonderful. He had a mint with him and chapstick for me and was
With
just
your name on
sharing
it?
sharing stories. It was just, everyone was so kind, and really the thing that stuck out for me was watching the way that Ellie Kemper worked on set. She was not only leading, she was the series regular, but she took time in between setups when they were turning the camera around. She would chat with all the background actors, share cooking recipes with them. She really made every single person on that set feel like they mattered. And that, I feel like, was a huge takeaway that I will carry with me forever, was watching not just how she was when she was acting, but how she was when the camera was off as well.
Okay. Wow. Thanks a lot for sharing that story. It's so true. Like, these series regulars, they're so nice. They make you feel like a family. The crew, the whole crew itself, that's exactly how I felt in my experience as well. And you watch them and you learn all these things, and then they know how to just make everyone feel welcome and also be professional and then do their work. And, because it's an everyday thing. They got to see each other every day. So you have to get along. You have to feel close. If not, it's going to be tough to work with somebody, the crew, every single day, for season after season. So, okay, great. I want to quickly touch up on your second co-star credit, because that's a huge hit show right now on Netflix, Never Have I Ever. So if you can just quickly talk about your audition experience with that.
Yeah. So that was an audition I had in LA, and it was kind of the same thing as in New York. I now have reps, so I had an agent and a manager at this point. And I had, again, auditions for a couple indie films. I had gotten a bunch of auditions myself on Actors Access for projects I booked. There's a Snapchat show that I recurred on for a couple episodes, and a really cool YouTube channel that has, like, I don't know, millions of subscribers. And so I booked those things on my own. But again, Never Have I Ever was my first LA co-star audition as well. First network or streaming co-star audition in LA.
That's so cool. So New York, you had the first co-star, you booked it, and then the same thing in LA. Wow. What's next?
It's so weird. Maybe I should just go to all the different major cities for filming and do one audition and see what happens.
That's so cool. Okay. Yeah, go on. How was the I think I got the audition. I got the audition the day before, like end of day, maybe around 5 o'clock. And it was also one line. It was a funny line. So I knew that that being able to land the joke and make something funny out of it would be important. Not like over the top, but just, if you are auditioning for a comedy, then it's anything that could be funny is probably meant to be funny, I think. So I didn't coach for this one, though. What I did was the role was for 18 plus to play a 15 or 16-year-old, a drunk, character-y, popular girl at a high school party. And so really what I did was I immediately went to Forever 21 and tried to find my best, like, popular drunk 16-year-old outfit to wear. Because again, with co-stars, I feel like it's so much about can they immediately plug you in to the show? And so I wanted to make sure that, like, everything that I was coming in the room with was a fit.
So I bought clothes and kept the tags on them in case I needed to return them. But I ended up keeping it and wearing it for like all my other popular 16-year-old girl auditions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got there. This was a really cool audition because no one looked like me. Everyone looked so different, different ethnicities, all playing young, but different. Everyone was so different, different styles. So that was really cool. And again, I was like, no idea how they're gonna choose because everyone is bringing something so different. And so there were maybe like 7 or 8 people in the room, not in the audition room, but in the waiting room, which was a lot. And again, for me, because it had been so long since I had an audition that was kind of that size, I was literally just so thrilled and grateful to actually get to act in front of people who could potentially, that could potentially end up on a Netflix show. So I was already, I think that's the common thread between both of those co-stars that I booked, is that I was just so happy to be there and to get to play that, like, that was already the win. The rest almost didn't even matter. And I went into the room after waiting maybe like 20 minutes or something like that. Went into the room. There were 2 people there, an associate at the office and an assistant at the office. One of them was manning the camera and the other one was reading with me. And again, there were a couple different eye lines in this one. And I did it once, and they turned to each other, and one of them said, do you need to see anything else, to the other one? And they said, nope, I think that was it. I think we got everything we needed to see. So no adjustment, which for me, I left thinking that went really well, like I did everything that I had wanted to do in the room, but they didn't ask me for an adjustment. And in the other people who went before me, you can tell how long they're in the room. And so it felt like they were all in there for longer than me. So I was like, well, either they like that one take or they don't, but I wasn't expecting anything to come from it, because it was a brand new office. I'd never been in for them. I'd sent them some postcards of things that I'd been up to, because again, they were an office that cast shows that I think I can work on. But yeah, it was, and then I didn't think about it, and then gosh, it was like either the end of that day or the next day or something when I was told that I was pinned. And then I didn't hear anything. And my manager, I heard that. So I heard from my agent that I was pinned. And then my manager followed up toward the end of that week. And they said that essentially they want to offer me the role, but they're waiting on timing, because this was an audition at the beginning of August, and they had like a 2-week shoot date because they were cross-boarding episodes. So they were doing 2 episodes at the same time, and they didn't know which dates they needed what people yet. So my manager was like, so they said they want you, but they don't know dates yet. And so I was like, that's amazing. That's super exciting. He called me on the phone to tell me. But I was like, until I get like an email proof that this is happening, because how many times things change. And so it wasn't until the way that I found out that I had for sure booked it, was that the wardrobe department called me to get my sizes. And I was like, I guess I booked it.
Did you tell them? Well, I booked it. Did you tell them that? I didn't know I booked it.
No. I was like, oh, amazing! It's so great to hear from you. I was trying to be as nonchalant as possible.
Yeah. Hey, give me 1 second before my phone dies. 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
It's gonna switch. All right, let's continue. Okay, let's talk about the shooting. Never Have I Ever on set.
Mm-hmm. So that one was again, so cool. I had a fitting the week before, or no, I had a fitting I think on a Monday, and I shot on a Friday.
Okay.
And the fitting was at Universal Studios, and that was just so cool to like walk up to the gate at Universal and be like, hey, I'm here for my fitting, because you just feel so fancy walking.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, this is my normal is that I am a working actor at Universal. And so the fitting was really fun. And really exciting, and it was so cool because the walk to get to the building where the wardrobe department is right next to the set of Superstore, and so I got to walk past Cloud9 and then past like a bunch of different like those little golf carts, and then I got to the fitting department, so that was cool. And then Friday I showed up to set, and I wasn't called until I think like noon or something, which is so much later than the 7 a.m. Call times that I feel like you most often have. And I showed up to set, and it was really cool. Again, they had my name on a list at the gate, and I felt so fancy and special. And then they took me to my honey wagon, which had my character had a name, Leslie. So I went to my Leslie trailer, and the trailer had a bathroom, like a toilet in it, and I thought that was so cool because again I was my first one was in a hotel room, and so that was really cool. And I went to Heron.
Did you use the trailer this time? Did you use everything in it?
I did. I went to the bathroom once before we went to set, because the set, they had to take us in a van through Universal, and so we got to pass tours going by as we were going to set, and then there was a sign that said like closed sets, filming happening, or something like that. And so yes, I did proudly use that bathroom. I took a lot of selfies in the trailer, and then of course focused on the task at hand, and checked the sides, and checked the call sheet and everything. And it was a pretty quick turnaround from going through hair and makeup and wardrobe to being driven to set. And then everyone on set, we were all playing sophomores in high school. So it really, I kid you not, just felt like summer camp. Like, hey, it's a bunch of kids going to make a TV show that day. And we were filming in the part of Universal that used to be Wisteria Lane, where Desperate Housewives was shot. So our kind of principal holding area, they had a bunch of those chairs, those directors' chairs, in one of the houses. So we sat there, and then we walked across the street to the other house that was kind of the party house where everything was taking place. And it was great. It was everyone was again so nice. We had such great conversations, and I couldn't believe that it was work. And it was really cool to go through the camera blocking, doing the rehearsal with the director. The director for this one was a woman named Linda Mendoza, and she's directed like an episode of every comedy series that's out there. And so it was really cool to work with her, and the cast. And I think it was like a 12-hour day, maybe from start to finish, because we had exterior scenes that required darkness. Okay. But yeah, it was just a wonderful day, and people couldn't have been warmer or friendlier. And it was cool. I don't know if you've experienced this, but that was the third episode out of a 10-episode new series. So people were still getting to know each other. So you weren't already coming into something that's been established. Like Kimmy Schmidt, they'd been around for 4 seasons. You felt like you were the new person in the family, versus this one, it was like, hey, we're all new, together. And the show is still finding its footing and everything like that. So that was really cool and just like a different feel.
Yeah, yeah. And how is it like? Did you meet Mindy, the writer, by any chance?
No, no.
Nothing.
Mindy and her co-creator weren't on set. I think they were on set for a couple of the earlier episodes. They weren't on set that day.
Yeah.
But they, because they were, I think, actively in a writer's room on another part of the Universal lot.
Okay.
So I didn't meet them. But I imagine that they had to watch my audition tape to sign off.
Yeah.
And everyone there who had been there for like the table reads and everything in advance of beginning the 10 episode shoot, they all said so much about how amazing and how funny and down to earth everyone was. And something that was super cool is a lot of the characters were recurring, but they were recurring for maybe 2 or 3 episodes at first. And Mindy and her writing partner and the writers actually so enjoyed what some of these people brought to the characters that they wrote them into additional episodes, which I thought was amazing.
Good. Yeah, it's good insight. Okay. Wow. Yeah, it was very interesting. Anything can happen. That's what they say. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
Let's wrap it. I know I've taken a lot of time out of you today. I know you have a meeting, but let's wrap it with this. What would your advice be, your personal advice to an actor who's trying to book their first co-star credit?
That is a good question. I was trying to think about like what me 2 years ago would have wanted to hear or what would have been helpful. I think that every journey is different, that every person's timeline is different. There are people who, I over a year passed between my first co-star audition and my second co-star audition. So yes, I booked both of them, but I only had 2 in the span of a year. So versus there are some people who, might have 20 in the course of a year, and it's just everyone's journey is so unique to them. I love this is something that Natalie Roy said, someone that we both love, and she said that when that everyone likes to kind of, it's so easy to get into a why not me mentality, like why hasn't it happened for me yet? When is it going to happen? Why is it happening to everyone else but not me? And I really loved what she said to us one day, which was that if it's starting to happen to people if it's starting to happen to people around you, that means that it's getting closer to you, because so often I feel like it's so easy to be jealous of someone else who is seemingly succeeding at something that you also so desperately want to experience. And I loved that she kind of helped me kind of reframe that in my mind. So instead of being like, why not me? Why is it happening to all of my friends? It became more of this is so exciting for them and so exciting for me because I know that the universe is bringing it closer to me. It's now within my grasp. So I kind of found that comforting when I was feeling discouraged.